just been connected to the largest spiritual network on the planet. The Jeffrey Darty Show. Guide your own spirit, master your own ascension, be your own guru. And now, showing you how, here's Jeffrey Darty.
Well, hello, folks. Jeffrey Darty here, back for a Friday night program. Glad to see that you've joined us. Glad to see that you waited to initiate your Friday night festivities until after you took place in the broadcast. And we're very certain that you'll be glad that you did that tonight, Friday night, June the 13th. And, of course, here in North America, we've got Friday the 13th with a full moon. Many people thinking that that's a bad thing. I tend to believe that Friday the 13th is a night of good luck, and certainly when you have a full moon, things can't be all bad. Looking forward to going out a little bit later, enjoying a nice moon bath. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Bathing in those moon rays, it's always a good and fun thing to do. And tonight being the full moon, obviously a very excellent night to do that. Now tonight we're going to talk about the Ten Commandments, secrets of the Ten Commandments. Secrets because we are going to break open the Ten Commandments like perhaps you've never heard them before, and break them down Jesus style, break them down based on everything that Jesus said regarding the specific commandments, not only when directly addressing them, but throughout his teachings while here on planet Earth. So it's the secrets of the Ten Commandments, Jesus style. If you would like to ask questions, the chat room is open there on the website, imnck.com, where you're viewing this, right next to the video. So it's very easy for you to avail yourself of that. You can also tweet me at NC Kabbalah. You can also find me on Facebook, Jeffrey Darty and Jeffrey Darty Show. And you can find me on Google+. Jeff Darty Show is how you would locate us there. So lots of ways, lots of abilities for you to be able to get a hold of me. And I'm always glad and happy to help you out. So here we go with the secrets of the Ten Commandments. And I'll tell you right away that this is going to disturb some of you. This is going to upset some of you. But more of you are going to be able to see, you know what? This is a great revelation. This is good news. This really changes things and changes my perspective, because too many times we think of the Ten Commandments as just a list of rules, just some more religious regulations. But when you look at them from the standpoint of Jesus and his teaching, then you're able to see them from a whole new point. And it starts with the very first commandment. And of course, the first commandment is, you shall have no other gods before me. So let me just go ahead and start blowing your mind right from the beginning. When Jesus says, you shall have no other gods before me, he's telling us and encouraging us to speak that statement in first person. So we would say, I will have no other gods before me. So Jeff Darty would say, I'll have no other gods before me. You watching, listening would say, I'll have no other gods before me. And even though that sounds, in many cases, to many ears, blasphemous, it's actually a transformational truth being taught to us by Jesus. And he's hearkening back to his words where he said, the kingdom of heaven is in you. So when we say, I will have no God before me, when Jesus says, thou shalt have no other gods before me, he's saying, you shall have no other gods before the me. What does that mean? That means that the beginning of wisdom is the understanding of God, and the beginning of the understanding of God is to recognize your own innate divinity. Only the Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, by and large, teach the moral rearmament of man. Only the Abrahamic religions, Islam, Judaism, and Christianity teach that man is inherently sinful, original sin. All the other faiths of the planet, from the East, from the Far East, from the native peoples of North America, even from those native to the South Central America area as well, this original sin does not come into play. And the fact of the matter is that original sin was the original lie as far as Western theology and religiosity goes, and it's certainly been capitalized by big-time religion to make sure you know you're a sinner and you need to come to them to get saved, and the price is going up. I've been reading some things on the internet. I see that a certain preacher, who I won't say his name because I don't want to give him any free publicity, but he's charging $850 to sit on the front row seat of one of his big events, and I think that's more than they said Beyonce was charging. So I don't know, man. I sometimes I see those things and I realize why I do what I do, why I write what I write, why I say what I say, and why I'm sitting here doing this tonight. But Jesus said, "You will have no other gods before me." Recognize your own divinity. Recognize that you have divinity within you, and put nothing before that. Nothing should be before your own divinity and the development of it and the realization of it and the growing of it and the nurturing of it. Jesus said that you can follow his words back to the divine, and it starts with having no other gods before me. You, my friend, are not born in sin. You, my friend, are born with divinity within. It's time you recognize it. It's time you realize it. Jesus himself said it. The kingdom of heaven is in you. And when Jesus says, have no other gods before me, he's saying essentially, have no other God before yourself. Recognize first and foremost your own divinity. You must guard that and defend it, because it is indeed, my friends, the most important possession that you have. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. That's what Jesus said. And then he said the second commandment. He said, and let's stop a minute and just think a little bit about that first commandment. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. And Jesus said further on in the New Testament, there's two great commandments. One is to honor the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, spirit. The second one, your neighbor as yourself. And I always thought there was a gap. He says, love God, and then he says, love your neighbor, but what about me? What about me? But when you begin to understand that the kingdom of heaven is in you, it begins to make perfect sense. Love the Lord your God with all your heart. Well, that's me. Love that divinity in me. Nurture that divinity in me. Recognize that divinity in me. And then once you've done that, you're able to love your neighbor as yourself and say, he has divinity in him just like I do. She has divinity in her just like I do. So loving the Lord my God, loving God in me, allows me, of course, to recognize the divine and also to recognize the divine in other people. So it all ties together when you are following the words of Jesus, and it sounds like the thought police are after yours truly. We'll see if we can elude them for a few more moments. And then the second commandment, Jesus says, do not make unto yourself any graven image. And what he's saying there is, don't make any idols, because a graven image is basically that. A graven image is a statue, it's a carving, and it's, don't make any of those things. And when you think about it in just regular terms, it's kind of a weird statement. Why would Jesus care if you made a statue? Why would God care if you made a statue? But when you get down to it in Jesus style, the secret of the Ten Commandments comes out, that Jesus is saying, do not make any idols in your life, because what happens when you make an idol, you're getting away from honoring the Lord your God, honoring the divinity in you. When you begin to make something else outside of you into a object of spiritual focus and spiritual adoration, what you're doing is creating a duality. And the duality, my friend, is the root of all evil. From the duality, we get this good, bad, good, evil, white, black, left, right, up, down. We get this whole idea of comparison. Why is this guy more spiritual than me? Why does this girl get more blessed than I do? And then, of course, you have the other end of that. I'm so much more spiritual than these other people, like that rich man that went into the temple and prayed, "Oh, thank you, God, that I'm not like this lowly tax collector over here to my right." He created a comparison. He created a duality. He created a competition. And Jesus said, I tell you the truth, the other man, the sinner, the tax collector that said, "Oh, God, have mercy on me," Jesus said the one that said, "Oh, have mercy on me," went away justified at 11:11. Not the one that said, thank you, I'm so well-groomed and well-coiffed, and I'm just a tremendous individual, and thank you, I'm not like this piece of human flotsam over here. And Jesus said that guy didn't go away justified. And one of the reasons why he didn't go away justified, even though he said all the right things as far as he was going to the temple, he was making his prayer, he gave his money, he did a lot of religious things right, but he didn't have his heart right, and he had created an idol, and he was essentially his own idol. Interesting. He had taken his eyes off the divinity within him and just was looking at himself. That's what he was doing, and he made himself an idol, and he created a competition, and it got his eyes off of God. So don't let anything outside of you take away the focus of your spirituality. And then this is something here that is one of my pet peeves, this third commandment, which says, "Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord your God in vain." This is one of my huge pet peeves, because I hear people doing this constantly, and they are destroying their lives as they do it, and they're destroying their lives themselves. Your tongue, my friend, is either a building block or a wrecking ball to your life. So often I hear people saying, "Why am I so fat? Why am I so ugly? Why am I so skinny? Why do I have so much hair? Why am I bald? Why can't I ever get ahead? Why can't I get a good job? Why can't I find a good spouse? Why doesn't God love me?" When you are taking your own name in vain, your own name, because remember, it's the divinity in you that we're looking at. When you're taking your own divinity in vain, "Oh, I'll never make it," or "I'm such a dirty, rotten, terrible sinner. I'm just a sinner saved by grace." That makes my skin crawl to hear people say that, because it's not true. You're not a sinner. You have the seed of divinity within you, not sin. So this whole "I'm a sinner saved by grace," it sounds so humble and so, religious to say, because it is religious to say, but it's foolish, because you're not a sinner saved by grace. You're a person living with the seed of divinity within you. You're actually a spirit driving a body, and you've got to get to the place where you do not take the name of the Lord your God, the name of the divinity inside you, in vain. Stop saying bad things about yourself. Stop saying bad things about your spirituality. Stop saying bad things about your experience. "Oh, I'm such a loser. I'll never get ahead. I'm always going to be broke. No one's ever going to love me. I'll never be spiritual enough. I can't be like him. I can't be like her." Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And it's your tongue, your words, that are going to determine. Love the Lord your God. Have no other gods before me. Have no other gods before you, that divinity within you. Don't make unto yourself a graven image. Don't make any idols. Stay within yourself. And do not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. Don't take your name in vain, because you are the seat of divinity within you. Contemplate that for just a minute, and we'll be right back with more of the Jeffrey Daugherty Show, the secrets of the Ten Commandments, right after this message.
Apostle Paul Antichrist, my new novel, may just be the most important book ever written about Christianity since the Bible. In its 410 heavily footnoted pages, Apostle Paul hijacked the original teachings of Jesus and twisted them into a fear-based control matrix we still live under today. George Norrie, host of Coast to Coast AM, says, based on ancient and biblical facts combining 20-plus years of Bible study, Daugherty seizes upon truths we've been conditioned to for centuries and turns them on their head as they're woven throughout this riveting story. Do not let the title turn you away. This tale calls the attention of every individual, regardless of belief system. Daugherty delivers innovation, talent, and bravery. Scotty Roberts of Ancient Aliens and Intrepid Magazine adds, prepare to have your sensibilities shattered and your traditions truncated as you ask yourself, do I really know what lies beneath my religion? Apostle Paul Antichrist, my new novel, available now from NCK Press at www.imnck.com. Get yours today.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Jeffrey Daugherty Show for this Friday night, June the 13th, and the full moon shining down upon us as we record this broadcast here in beautiful Orlando, Florida. And you know, George Norrie said in that promo that Daugherty, that's me, seizes upon ancient biblical truths that we've been conditioned to for years and turns them on their head. And that's kind of what we're doing tonight. And that's, I guess that's a specialty of mine, to take what we've been fed as truths, and turn them on their head and take a fresh new look at them. And we're looking at them. We take them out of the lens of the big-time religion and the religiosity that we've all been used to, turn them on their head, as George Norrie says, and then look at them through the lens of the New Testament words of Jesus. And what we're really doing is taking truth out of the Nero-Pauline matrix perspective, turning it on its head, and looking at it from the perspective of the original Jesus movement, which was highly Essene, highly Kabbalistic, highly natural, highly individual, and highly emphasizing the divinity of people and not their original sin. Original sin was the original lie of Paul and Nero and those that started what has become big-time religion in the West, and it's, of course, spread throughout the entire world. Boom, boom, boom. I don't mean to make fun of that because it's really rather disgusting. The fourth commandment: remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. What's the Sabbath really about, folks? It's about rest. It's about remembering God, remembering the divine, remembering the fact that you were created to be who you are. Divine. And it's also about peace, the peace of the Sabbath. Think about that. Think about that. It's about remembering the divine. How often in this world today do people forget the divine? You think Jesus would call us to remember the divine? It's about remembering the creation. Here's a new thought for you. Not only do you think that Jesus would not only want us to remember the divine creator, but do you think he might also want us to remember the creation, as in giving honor to the creation, as in protecting the creation, as in cultivating the creation, as in tapping to the innate spiritual entity in the creation, as in remembering we're part of the creation, not Lord of the creation. See, a true perspective on the Sabbath, again, turns this whole thing upside down in the Neo-Pauline matrix. We are Lord of the earth. We're going to dominate the earth. What's the word I'm looking for? Go forth and subdue the earth. Bum, bum, bum. No. We're not supposed to go out and subdue the earth. We're supposed to be like Jesus and his Essene brethren and realize that we're part of the earth. We're supposed to support it and nurture it and grow it and protect it and tune into it. Remember the divine. Remember your divine. Remember the creator. Remember the creation. And then peace. Whew. Jesus said, peace I leave with you. I'm trying to remember the name of my friend that I used to see so much on YouTube. Infinite Waters, Diving Deep. I can't remember his name. If you remember his name, send it back to me because I really would like to talk with him. He was supposed to be on the show. And I think his name is Ralph, but it just never worked out. So I would like to get him back again. He makes some great videos on YouTube, and I'm still stuck on Infinite Waters, Diving Deep. But peace, 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 peace. Jesus said, "Peace I leave with you, and not peace like the world gives, but I give you a peace that passes all understanding." And I ask you tonight, my friend, where's your peace? Where's your peace gone? Where's that peace that Jesus gave you? Where's that peace that is your heritage? It's gone because you allowed him to steal it from you. Because you don't remember, you don't have no other gods before you. You're letting other gods come in before you. You're getting outside of yourself and letting duality and comparison and idols creep into your life. You're taking your name, the name of the Lord your God, in vain. You're not remembering the Creator. You're not remembering the creation. You're not remembering and realizing you're a part of the creation. Go out on the earth and walk on it every day. My day starts watching the sunrise. It's called sun gazing, and it's profound. Look it up. We'll probably do another show about it. It's amazing. I walk around on the earth every single day. I go barefoot as often as I can. Of course, it's easier living here in Florida, but get in contact with the creation. And remember the Creator, and remember that the divinity is within you as well, my friend. Remember these things. Remember the peace. Remember the creation. Remember the Creator. And that helps you to keep it holy and to keep it real, so to speak. Amazing things that we're learning about tonight. And man, we're not, wow, this is just powerful stuff. Because the fifth commandment is, remember your mother and your father. And it follows right after talking about creation. And it should lead you right into the thought of Mother Earth. Remember your mother. Remember Mother Earth. Remember the Father, and in big-time Christianity, so often it's so Jesus-centric, and being Jesus-centric isn't bad, but being Jesus-centric on a created, falsified Jesus of their own making, the dancing bear Jesus of big-time religion, being focused on that Jesus is not good, and being focused on that Jesus to the exclusion of the Father also is not good. So this commandment calls us to remember the Father divine and calls us to remember the Mother divine. And again, we talked last night about Christianity coming in and upsetting the great balance and stability and throwing things way over into the male, the divine male, the divine masculine, and the wars and fighting and aggression and rules and regulations and oppression that we're living in as a result of that. This commandment calls us to remember both. Remember your father and your mother. Remember to be balanced in your sacred feminine. Remember to be balanced in your masculine feminine. Remember your mother and your father. Remember to be balanced in your mother and your father. Remember, again, it's coming right from that fourth commandment about the creation into the fifth commandment of remembering your father and your mother. It's amazing when you stop and think about the incredible truths that are contained within the Ten Commandments. You never knew what you never knew until now. Commandment number 6. This one seems pretty simple. Thou shalt not kill. That's pretty simple, it seems. Thou shalt not kill. Duh, we all know that. We know we shouldn't kill people. Really, the commandment is thou shalt do no murder when you get into the original language, and that is a big clarification so you can understand. And it talks about not only people, but it talks about all of creation. We should not do any murder to any creation. We should not do any murder to any portion of creation, because we need to understand that everything that lives on this earth, and even this earth itself, everything has consciousness. And we should not thoughtlessly, we should not arrogantly, we should not in a way of subduing and mighty us do any murder, do any violence to any creation or any entity that has consciousness. We should not be murdering the planet the way we are. We should not be murdering the plants the way we are. We should not be murdering the animals the way we are. And we certainly should not be murdering our fellow human beings through these endless wars that the Nero-Pauline matrix, the church and the religion and, the governments that support it and are funded by it and support and fund it are leading us into. It's time for us to say, we're not going to do this anymore. Stop doing murder, not only in the ways that we understand of wars, fighting, killing, shooting each other, knifing each other, all that stuff. We know that, but we need to go to the other levels and recognize that we should do no murder to our environment. We should do no murder to our animal companions on this earth. We should do no murder to the vegetable kingdom as well, because they all have consciousness, they all have spirits, and you just need to begin to understand what you're doing. I mean, I have relationships with some of the nature spirits, a close relationship with the spirit of garlic, who helps me out in the realms of protection and health, and I give her, it's a feminine spirit, a shout out now and again. And I encourage you to include garlic in your diet, include it in your spiritual diet as well. And if you wonder what I mean, sign up for Create Yourself and we'll get you hooked up. But thou shalt do no murder, and it's not only to the human consciousness of the planet, but all the other consciousness is on the planet, and even the consciousness of the planet itself. Thou shalt do no murder. That's commandment number 5, and we will be right back to finish up the last 5 commandments after this really short break.
Mark
Twain said it's much easier to convince someone of a lie than it is to convince them they've been lied to. But that doesn't mean we stop trying. Listen to the Jeffrey Daugherty Show Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Told you it was a short break, and here we are back with you, ready to get into commandment number 6, which we just did, didn't we? Commandment number 7, thou shalt not commit adultery. And of course, you know, that's pretty plain, that's pretty simplistic and understandable in its practical realms. You shouldn't mess with hers or his. You should stay with yours. It's pretty simple in physical terms, but again, when you break it down to the spiritual nature, you don't want to be committing spiritual adultery either. And committing spiritual adultery really is giving yourself over to something that you know is impure spiritually, giving your support to something that you know is impure spiritually, giving your money to something that you know is impure spiritually, giving your time to something that you know is impure spiritually, giving your energy, giving your intention, giving any of yourself, your time, your energy, your efforts to something that you know is spiritually impure. My friends, that's adultery. I'll let you fill in the blanks on what those things might possibly be. Thou shalt not steal. This is a big one, and this is another one of those ones that makes you say, wow, I never knew that. When you study the commandment, thou shalt not steal, because again, it's another one of those duh, you know, don't take other people's stuff, little Johnny. Yeah, we understand that. It's pretty plain, pretty easily comprehended. But when you get into studying the Hebrew of that verse, of course the Ten Commandments were originally written in the Hebrew language, at least in the iteration that we have them today. I also have the Native American Ten Commandments. I should pull those up and go through those as well. It'd be very, very interesting. But Jesus talking about this Ten Commandment, when it says thou shalt not steal, really the full implication of it is that thou shalt not steal another person. It really means that thou shalt not do kidnapping. And what do you mean, Jeff, I shouldn't kidnap? Well, think about it in spiritual terms. When you're kidnapping someone, you're taking their intention, you're taking their free will, and really this commandment, when we look at it Jesus style, is a prohibition on black magic. It's a prohibition against the left-hand path. It's a prohibition against you using the power of your intention to override the power of another person. So this is basically Jesus saying, always use your powers for good. And when I was a Pentecostal evangelist, I got to the place where I was so good that I could get people to make commitments simply because I was good enough to get them to make commitments, when in reality they weren't making the commitment of their own volition. They were making the commitment because I convinced them to make the commitment. And the problem with that is that the divine does not want us making commitments because someone convinced us to make the commitments. The divine wants us to make commitments because we ourselves have had a revelation from the divine, and we ourselves understand and desire to make this commitment, this change, this rise in our ascension. So you putting your intention on someone to make them change or to make them do something that that does not come from here is in essence you kidnapping their intention, kidnapping their power, kidnapping their energy. And to those of you that are more advanced in the spiritual arts, when you go and put your intention into people's minds, you try to go all inception on them, you better be careful, because I think you're in violation of what Jesus spoke of as a commandment of prohibition on kidnapping. And you don't want to be in that position where you're overriding people's intention. I mean, that's the Aleister Crowley realm. That's the realm of the black magicians. That's the realm of those that are no better than the big-time religious people who are trying to put stuff on you if they're trying to put it on you themselves. One is no better than the other, so do not allow your energy or your intention to come into a place where it steals or overrides the energy or the intention of another person. You don't want to do that. Thou shalt not bear false witness against your neighbor. Thou shalt not bear false witness against your neighbor. When I hear that, I always think about Nacho Libre. The Bible says, thou shalt not wrestle your neighbor. You should watch that movie, and you got to watch it a few times before you understand that it's funny. It's one of those things. But thou shalt not bear false witness about your neighbor. Again, very simply, you don't want to lie to people. You don't want to lie about people. But here again, this is talking about putting your intention on another person. He'll never be any good. She'll never amount to anything. They'll just never get it. They don't really care about true spirituality. You're bearing a false witness. You're putting a bad witness. You're putting a bad intention. You're putting a bad energy on this person. It's like when Jesus said that if you think lustful thoughts about a woman, you've already committed adultery in your heart. When you think, I want to kill that guy, you've already committed murder in your heart. Was he overreacting? No, he was saying that you've already put out, well, if you say that you want to get with this girl, you've put out an intention of adultery and lust. If you say, I want to kill this person, you put out an intention of murder. It's a energetic resonance. It's a thing. Your thoughts are things. Your intentions are things. And when you put it out, it has an effect. It does not return void, but will accomplish that which it's set out to do. And when you put out murderous thoughts, I mean, why would Jesus even mention it? If you say you're going to murder someone, and if you want to murder someone, you've already murdered them in your heart. Why would he even mention it? Well, because that murderous intention goes out into the energy matrix of the universe, and there are things out there that want to eat, for lack of a better term, that murderous energy, and it just makes them stronger. There's things that want to eat that impure, lustful energy, and it just makes them stronger. So you're either creating balanced energy or you're creating unbalanced energy, and that's why Jesus was so into what we were thinking and saying, and not just what we were saying, but what we were thinking, because as a man thinks, so is he. And when you think, your thoughts are things, and you're putting out intention, and that intention doesn't just dissipate, it goes somewhere, and it does some things, and it does what it is meant to do. It does what it is. I mean, it is what it is, and it does what it does. So you want to be creating positive, you want to be creating balance, not imbalance. So you don't want to be putting false intention or false witness or false words on your neighbor. Remember, Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. Well, we talked back up in the earlier commandment, do not take your name in vain, don't talk bad about yourself. Well, here we are, loving our neighbor as ourself, not bearing false witness about our neighbor either. See how much sense this makes? It's so much better than, thou shalt not steal. Understanding the reality of these things turns these facts that we've been accustomed to for years on their head, and it just creates a new world of revelation and understanding. And as more of us get this revelation and understanding, it creates a better new world for all of us. And sooner or later, man, the whole thing's going to change, and we're going to be part of it. I wish that I wasn't to the last of the 10 Commandments, but I am. And the last of the 10 Commandments is, thou shalt not covet. And this gets back into creating a graven image. This gets back into creating an idol. It goes full circle. This really is the bookend of you shall have no other God before me. This is the bookend of you not having any other God before the divinity within you, because if you covet, you're getting outside of you. If you covet, you are desiring that which is in someone else more than that which is in you. If you're coveting what he is, or if you're coveting what she is, then you're not cultivating what you is, what you are. You're creating comparison. You're creating competition. And you're creating a duality. Us, them. Folks, I haven't said it in a while, but there is no them, only us, and nobody's free until we're all free. And earmuffs, kids. It's like the old saying, free your mind and your ass will follow. We're freeing our minds here. Just run your fingers through your hair and free your mind. We're freeing our minds here. Jesus is freeing our minds with a brand new understanding of the 10 Commandments. This is just good stuff. You will have no other gods before the me, you. You will not make any idols. You'll stay within you. You won't take the name of the Lord your God in vain. You won't take your own name in vain. You won't say bad things about yourself and your spirituality. You'll remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. You'll remember the Creator. You'll remember the creation. You'll remember the peace and get that peace back in your life. You'll honor your father and you'll honor your mother, the male, the masculine divine, the feminine divine. You will not do any murder. To people, to any consciousness on this earth, and even to the earth itself, which is a consciousness. Thou shalt not commit adultery. You will not give your intention, your energy, your power, your money, your presence, and anything that is spiritually impure. Thou shalt not steal. You will not kidnap the intention of your brother. And you know, this just popped into my mind. This is a little bit admittedly out there, but thou shalt not steal, talking about the intention of stealing the intention of people. What about the animals that we take out of their natural environment and treat them despicably in order to feed us, in order to entertain us? I wonder if we are not doing murder to their intention. I mean, they're meant to run free and be happy and live the most productive life they can. And even the animals that we eat for food, they should be free range, they should be cage free, they should be hormone free, they shouldn't be stuffed with unnatural foods. And this is part of doing murder to consciousness, and it's also part of this commandment I'm talking about. What was it? Oh, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kidnap. Man, that's a deep thought. I've never thought of that before, but I think that it's certainly something worth pondering. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Do not put anything other than balanced, creative energy on your neighbor, even as you're not putting it on yourself. In commandment 3, 3 and 9 connect. That's interesting because 3 plus 3 plus 3, verily, 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 3, 3, 3, adding up to 9, the same connection there between not taking your name in vain and not taking the name of your neighbor in vain. And then full circle, thou shalt not covet, leading you right back to thou shalt have no other gods before me. Be confident, be joyful in the divinity in you, and quit wanting to have the divinity in me. It just won't work for you. Trust me. Wow. I mean, that's just really, really good stuff. That's really, really powerful stuff. And that's really, really empowering stuff. And it's things like this that we do in the Create Yourself program. And I've had a big revelation about that today that I'll be sharing with you in the coming days. But as you're on the website, take a few minutes to look under the Books tab. We've got a special 2-for-1 offer on our Books of the Month. Take a look at under the Paul book tab, and there's a great little informational webinar on the Apostle Paul Antichrist. Look at the NCK Tour. I'm probably going to change the name of that. I think I'm going to call it the Create Yourself Tour. And somebody out there is thinking about helping me out on that, and I do need your help, so please contact me. And on Monday night, we're going to be back with Melissa Hubbard talking about the sacred feminine. It's going to be a great show. I want you to enjoy your weekend. I want you to get out there and get a little bit of a moon bath. And if you need to contact me between now and Monday, you've got the website, you've got Jeffrey Daugherty and Jeffrey Daugherty Show on Facebook, you've got at NC Kabbalah on Twitter, and number 4, you have Jeff Daugherty Show on Google+. And for those of you that watched our show last night about the peace sign, the cross, and the crucifix, you will understand why I'm Jeff Daugherty wishing you peace and light. We'll see you all again on Monday night.